If I could go back in time just 3 years and give my pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, dad bod self just 5 health and fitness tips, these would be those. First of all, I'd tell myself to set SMART goals. Those are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, maybe you've set yourself some broad goals in the past, maybe you've achieved them or maybe you haven't, but what I'm talking about here are smaller, short-term, specific goals which are more manageable and could be aligned to a much larger overall aspiration. The purpose of setting up small and specific goals is to build up some momentum, to motivate, and to provide what seems to be more rapid progression. So the goals that we set should be specific in that they are only achieving one thing. They could be part of a much bigger goal, but they are broken up into smaller, more manageable, bite-sized chunks. They need to be measurable because otherwise how do we know when we've achieved our goal? They need to be achievable because there's no point in setting goals that you will never achieve. The goals that we set ourselves should be relevant to our overall aims and goals over the long term. The goals should be time-bound to encourage us to take action. So an example of a SMART goal would be to say you wanted to lose an inch off your waistline over the period of a month. Well, that is very specific, it's easily measurable, it's achievable for most people, and it's time-bound. An example of a non-SMART goal would be, let's say that you currently get out of breath when you're running up a flight of stairs, and let's say that you set yourself a huge goal of being able to run a marathon, a sub 3-hour marathon within 2 months' time. Well, that is probably not going to be very achievable. So SMART goals help us to break down long-term goals into smaller, bite-sized, more manageable chunks. That way we can get into a cycle of setting and achieving goals. This provides us with motivation, it reminds us of what we're trying to achieve, and it helps us to track progress along the way. The next thing I would look at would be diet. And regardless of whether or not you are looking to gain muscle or if you're looking to lose some body fat, diet is going to underpin everything that you do. It's going to determine whether or not you are successful or not. If you're looking to lose body fat, then chances are if you address your diet, then you've probably done most of the work just by doing that. For myself, the adoption of an intermittent fasting lifestyle was fundamental to changing my whole way of life. And it's the thing that had the most significant impact on my health and well-being. In fact, I credit intermittent fasting for reversing my pre-diabetes and for bringing my cholesterol back into a healthy range. In terms of body fat reduction, it's been by far the easiest way to achieve and to maintain a caloric deficit over the long term, and that's led to a significant amount of fat loss. Making changes to your diet doesn't have to be a big bang event. In fact, you can make gradual changes such as swapping in healthier alternatives to the foods that you enjoy but are not necessarily the healthiest options available. It's important that you don't neglect enjoyment because enjoyment of food is quite important in the sustainability of a diet. Eating green salads for every single meal might sound like a great idea in the short term, but really, is it sustainable? Probably not. Diet and nutrition is not necessarily everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone will know what their body needs or is confident about trying to work it out. So it's always a good idea to go seek out some advice. There's plenty of resources online, but you probably can't beat actually having a face-to-face or voice-to-voice consultation with a personal trainer or a qualified nutritionist. But what I would say is that you shouldn't need to buy any dieting products. You shouldn't need to go on any crash diets or any short-term diets. What we're looking to do is make permanent or at least long-term lifestyle changes that we can sustain and that help us to achieve our goals. There are many problems with crash diets. They tend to be expensive and not very enjoyable. They tend to be overly restrictive, and when you come off them, then there's a tendency for the body to regain any lost weight. Thirdly, get sufficient sleep. I know it doesn't sound very flashy or very exciting, and it tends to get overlooked because it's not very active, but sleep is one of the most important things you can do for the improvement of your overall health. If you're currently getting less than 7 hours sleep a night, then chances are you are missing out on a lot of health benefits. Not only does sleep help to improve your performance when you're working out, it can help to reduce the chances of injury, and it can also help in post-workout recovery. The importance of sleep has long been recognized by world-class athletes such as Roger Federer, LeBron James, and Usain Bolt, with each of them getting between 10 to 12 hours of sleep every night. There's a book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and I'd highly recommend it. It's a book which has completely changed my view of sleep and its importance in a healthy lifestyle. I thoroughly recommend it, and I'll include a link in the description below. Next up is exercise. As part of a health and fitness journey, if you're looking for your body to make changes, then you need to provide it with a stimulus. There's no reason for a body to change unless you give it one. So if you're looking to get stronger or leaner or fitter, then exercise is crucial. In this case, I would be recommending resistance exercise over cardio. That's not to say that cardio isn't useful, but in the case of wanting to build some muscle mass and to lose some body fat, resistance exercise is going to be more effective because it helps to build muscle, and muscle in turn will help to burn more calories because muscle tissue is very metabolically active. So the more muscle you have, the more calories and the more energy your body will use, even when you're not training. And that means that it's going to be far easier to achieve a calorie deficit. Appearances aside, once you get into your 30s and beyond, we start becoming susceptible to an age-related condition known as sarcopenia. Now, sarcopenia is a condition whereby you start to lose muscle mass. The impact of losing muscle tissue as we age is that it can make everyday tasks more difficult. The less muscle tissue we have, the less strength we have, the more difficult it becomes to do the things that we would normally do. So resistance exercise, with its muscle building properties, is especially important for those of us in our 30s and 40s and beyond. Resistance exercises come in lots of shapes and forms, the most obvious of which is to go to a gym and lift weights. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can always do some bodyweight exercises at home, things like push-ups or dips, or if you have any sort of equipment, then you can make use of that. And bodyweight exercise is often overlooked, but it can be extremely effective in building muscle, especially if you've not trained very much before. Now, the important thing when it comes to exercise is to find an activity that you enjoy and something that you can do frequently and consistently. If you can't bear the thought of going to a gym 3 times a week, then don't go to a gym 3 times a week. Find an activity that you enjoy, which provides you with a workout and which you can carry on doing. Last on the list, but just as important, is sustainability. And that is the choices that you make in order to achieve your health and fitness goals. Are they going to be sustainable over the long term? That is, can you keep on doing them? Of course, the choices that you make can change over time. We are people, we're human beings, we're organic. Things change, our circumstances change, there are external and internal factors which will change, our moods will change, our energy levels will change, and our goals will change, and that's perfectly fine. It's a good idea to reevaluate our goals occasionally. Just because we set out to achieve something, it doesn't necessarily mean that once we've achieved it, we want to carry on doing it. So if, for example, you are looking to lose weight initially, then once you hit a weight that you want to maintain, then your goals may change in light of that. That's it for this video, folks. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it or you found it useful, please give it a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.